You've been living under a false assumption, one so deeply embedded in our culture that you probably never questioned it. You think life is complicated. You think success requires complex strategies, that happiness demands intricate formulas, that understanding yourself means diving into layers upon layers of psychological complexity. But what if I told you that life is actually laughably simple, and the only thing making it complicated is our desperate need for it to be complex? Consider this for a moment. Every single self-help book you've ever encountered, all 300 pages of carefully crafted advice, ultimately boils down to a handful of simple principles. Eat less, move more. Communicate honestly, care deeply, work consistently on something valuable, show up every day, be present with the people you love.
Yes, dear, what is it? Well, Mr. Evans, Miss Black wanted me to bring this to you. Oh? Won't you sit down, Jim? I understand you have an unusual pencil, Jim. Yes, sir. That is, it's nothing special, but you're rather proud of it. It has my name on it. I won it in an essay contest. May I see it? Uh-huh. Personally, I think that something like this is better for carving. I'll fix the desk, Mr. Edmonds. I'll sand it down and refinish it. You won't be able to tell where I scratched it at all. That's a good idea, Jim. I'll begin today after school. That will be fine. Well, what else do you want me to do, Mr. Edmonds? Perhaps you can help me with a problem. I'd like your advice, Jim. My advice? Yes, I've got quite a serious problem. There are a great many young people in the school, Jim. Each is an individual, but in one important way, they're all alike. They're all growing up. Is that the problem, Mr. Edmonds? Yes, growing up is a problem. Because, well, I remember one time I watched some of the boys play ball. You've probably seen it too. The boys were all about your age. In years, they're young men. But sometimes in their behavior, they act like children? That's it. The boy batting struck out, and what a fuss he made. He was a young man in years, but the way he behaved was more in keeping with a 5-year-old. When you see a child do the same thing, you think, oh, well, he'll grow up sometime. But at 15 or 16, this boy was still reacting the same way. He was still showing violent temper when little things went wrong for him. So the question is, why doesn't he grow up? Why does he still behave as a child?
That's the secret formula everyone's been hiding in plain sight. But here's the thing about simple truths. They're boring. They don't make us feel special. They don't require a guru or a revolutionary system with a trademark. Simple truths can't be packaged into a 47-step morning routine that promises to transform your life. Simple truths don't have the allure of ancient secrets that they don't want you to know about, and so we reject them, not consciously, of course. We reject them by complicating them, by layering on requirements and conditions and prerequisites until the simple becomes impossibly complex. Think about how this plays out in real life. Someone wants to lose weight and the answer is straightforward. Consume fewer calories than you burn, move your body regularly, eat mostly whole foods, get adequate sleep. But we can't accept that. Instead, we need the ketogenic diet, or intermittent fasting, or carb cycling, or the Mediterranean approach, or paleo, or whatever new trend promises to be the secret key that unlocks effortless transformation. We need apps and trackers and meal plans and cheat days and refeed protocols. We take something simple and build an entire architecture of complexity around it. The same pattern repeats everywhere you look. Someone wants better relationships, and the answer is clear. Be honest, be kind, listen more than you talk, show up consistently, apologize when you're wrong, celebrate others' successes. But that's too simple. Instead, we need attachment theory and love languages and communication frameworks and relationship stages and compatibility algorithms. We need to analyze every text message, decode every gesture, strategize every interaction as if love were a chess game game requiring grandmaster level planning. Someone wants professional success, and the path forward is obvious. Identify something valuable, get really good at it through consistent practice, deliver results, treat people well, keep showing up even when it's hard. But we can't accept that either. Instead, we need networking strategies and personal branding and growth hacking and productivity systems and morning routines and evening routines and the perfect workspace and the ideal schedule and on until we're so busy optimizing that we never actually do the work. Here's the profound joke at the heart of it all. While you're searching for complex solutions, life is screaming simple answers at you. But simple doesn't sell books. Simple doesn't make you feel like you've discovered something special. Simple doesn't require you to join a community or buy a program or follow a guru. Simple just requires you to do the obvious thing consistently without drama or fanfare. And somehow, that's the hardest thing in the world. The misdirection here is perfect. We think the complexity is in the solution, but actually the complexity is in our search for complexity. Life was simple all along. We just complicated the search so thoroughly that we convinced ourselves the simplicity couldn't possibly be real. It's like looking for your glasses while they're sitting on your head. The thing you're searching for is right there, but you've created such an elaborate search process that you can't see what's directly in front of you.
Les miroirs ne mentent jamais. Ils me montrent mes saisons. Les années filent en secret et changent mes horizons. J'entends l'écho de ma voix.
The effort paradox. Why trying harder makes everything worse. Now let me break your brain a little bit. Ready? The harder you try at certain things, the more certainly you fail. This isn't motivational nonsense or pseudo-wisdom. This is a fundamental pattern that governs huge swaths of human experience. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Think about sleep. Have you ever tried to force yourself to fall asleep? What happens? Your eyes stay wide open, your mind starts racing. Every minute that passes makes you more anxious about not sleeping, which makes you even more awake. The harder you try to sleep, the more elusive sleep becomes. It's almost as if sleep has a sense of humor about the whole thing, slipping away the moment you reach for it. Or consider happiness. Chase it directly and watch it sprint away from you. The people most desperately seeking happiness are often the most miserable, while those who've stopped chasing it and focused on other things, meaningful work, deep relationships, personal growth, seem to stumble into happiness as a byproduct of their other pursuits. It's like happiness is playing an eternal game of hard to get with anyone who makes it their primary target. Love operates the same way. Try to make someone love you. Go ahead, really try. Use all your effort, all your strategy, all your manipulation. See how quickly it backfires. See how desperation repels rather than attracts. See how the very act of grasping pushes the object of your affection further away. Love, like sleep and happiness, cannot be forced into existence through sheer willpower. This pattern has a name, the backwards law. It's the idea that the more you want something, the more actively you pursue it, the more it eludes you. It's like trying to float by swimming harder. The increased effort doesn't help you float, it makes you sink faster. The thrashing creates turbulence that works against buoyancy. The solution to floating is to relax, to stop fighting, to trust the water. But our instinct is always to try harder, to fight more, to exert more control. Watch this pattern play out everywhere once you know to look for it. Desperate people repel opportunities. The person frantically networking at every event, pushing their business card on everyone, talking endlessly about their needs. They're the last person anyone wants to help. Meanwhile, the person who's genuinely interested in others, who offers value without expectation, who's relaxed about outcomes, opportunities seem to find them. Needy people repel relationships. The person who texts constantly, who requires constant reassurance, who makes their emotional state entirely dependent on another person's responses, they drive people away. Meanwhile, the person who has their own life, their own interests, their own emotional center, they're magnetic. People want to be close to them precisely because they don't need anyone to be close to them. Stressed people repel peace. The person who's desperately trying to eliminate all stress, who's optimizing every minute of their day, who's following 17 different stress reduction protocols. They're often the most stressed of all. Meanwhile, the person who accepts some level of chaos, who's comfortable with uncertainty, who doesn't try to control every variable, they seem to navigate life with an ease that stressed people envy. The funniest part of all this is that we know it. Every athlete knows that you perform worse when you overthink. The basketball player who's thinking about their shooting form on every shot is going to miss more than the one who's in flow. The tennis player analyzing their backhand mid-rally is going to lose the point. Peak performance comes from a state of relaxed concentration, not anxious effort. Every artist knows that forcing creativity kills it. The writer sitting at their desk demanding that their muse appear, willing brilliant words into existence through sheer determination, they produce garbage. Meanwhile, the writer who's playful, who's willing to write badly, who's more interested in exploring than performing, they produce work that surprises even themselves. Creativity is coaxed, not commanded. Yet what do we do when something isn't working? We try harder. We double down on effort. We increase the pressure. We tighten our grip. And we wonder why everything keeps slipping through our fingers. So what's the alternative? It's not laziness. It's not giving up. It's not checking out or becoming passive. The alternative is something more subtle and more powerful. Effort without attachment. Action without desperation. Doing the thing but not death gripping the outcome. Think about it like this. You still practice your basketball shot. You still work on your craft. You still show up and do the work. But you hold the outcome loosely. You're focused on the process, on the action itself, not on desperately needing a specific result. You care deeply, but not desperately. You try without trying too hard. It's a paradox, yes, but it's a paradox that points towards something real. Life rewards the relaxed, not the lazy. There's a crucial difference. The lazy person doesn't do the work at all. The relaxed person does the work fully, but without the tension of needing to control exactly how it turns out. They're committed to the process, but detached from the outcome. They care without being consumed by caring. They try without strangling their efforts with anxiety. This is what athletes mean when they talk about being in the zone. This is what artists mean when they talk about flow. This is what wise people mean when they talk about non-attachment. It's not about not caring. It's about caring in a way that doesn't sabotage itself. It's about understanding that your desperate grip on outcomes is often the very thing preventing those outcomes from occurring. The backwards law teaches us something profound. Sometimes the path forward requires letting go. Sometimes the way to get what you want is to stop wanting it so desperately. Sometimes the answer to "how do I make this happen?" is stop trying so hard to make it happen and start creating conditions where it can happen naturally.
Just gone. I wait You don't. I call. You won't. Gone. Gone. Just gone.
The control paradox, why everything slips through your fingers. Here's life's biggest cosmic joke, the one that gets funnier and more profound the more you understand it. The more you try to control everything, the less control you actually have. It's beautifully, almost poetically ironic. The tighter you grip, the more slips away. Think about how we approach our days. We plan every minute. We organize every detail. We try to anticipate every possibility, prepare for every contingency, predict every outcome. We fill our calendars with precisely timed blocks. We create systems and protocols and procedures for everything. We optimize and streamline and structure until we've built what appears to be a perfectly controlled life. And then what happens? Life laughs. Life throws a curveball. The car breaks down. Someone gets sick, a project takes twice as long as planned, an unexpected opportunity appears that doesn't fit the schedule, and our perfect plan crumbles. We're all control freaks in denial. Even those of us who think we're laid back and flexible, we have our zones of control, our areas where we secretly believe that if we just manage things correctly, we can prevent all problems and ensure all desired outcomes. We might not control our entire life, but surely we can control our morning routine, or our diet, or our work process, or our relationships, or something. Here's what's actually happening. Control is like holding water in your hands. Cup your hands loosely and you can carry some water. Squeeze tighter, trying to hold more, and it slips through your fingers faster. The tighter the grip, the quicker it escapes. The very act of trying to hold on more securely is what causes you to lose your grip. The ancient Stoics figured this out 2,000 years ago. They developed an entire philosophy around one central insight. You can only control two things, your actions and your reactions. Everything else is outside your control. The weather, other people's choices, the economy, your boss's mood, whether your project succeeds, whether people like you, whether you get sick, whether you achieve your goals. All of it is ultimately outside your control. This sounds depressing at first. It sounds like powerlessness, but actually it's the most liberating insight you can internalize. Because when you truly understand what you can and cannot control, you stop wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable. You stop exhausting yourself trying to manipulate variables that were never yours to manipulate in the first place. The breakthrough comes when you understand the difference between your circle of influence and your circle of concern. Your circle of concern contains everything you care about: global politics, climate change, what strangers think of you, whether your team wins the championship, whether the stock market goes up or down, whether it rains on your wedding day. It's huge. It's everything that impacts your life or that you have opinions about. Your circle of influence is much smaller. It's what you can actually affect through your choices and actions. You can't control traffic, but you can control when you leave. You can't control whether your boss is in a bad mood, but you can control how professionally you respond. You can't control whether other people respect you, but you can control being someone worthy of respect. You can't control outcomes, but you can control effort. Most people spend most of their energy focused on their circle of concern. They worry about things they can't change. They complain about situations they can't influence. They rage against circumstances they can't control. And then they wonder why they feel powerless, why they're stressed, why life feels overwhelming. The wise approach is the opposite. Focus all your energy on your circle of influence. Put all your effort into the things you can actually affect. When something is outside your control, you don't ignore it or pretend you don't care about it. You just don't waste energy trying to control it. You adapt to it, you work around it, you accept it, but you don't exhaust yourself fighting battles you cannot win. Can you control traffic? No, so you don't sit in your car getting angry at traffic. You leave earlier, you choose routes with less traffic, you use the time to listen to audiobooks or podcasts. You accept that travel time varies. You work with reality instead of demanding that reality conform to your preferences. Can you control other people's opinions of you? No. So you don't constantly monitor what others think. You don't tailor your every action to try to manage their perceptions. You don't exhaust yourself people-pleasing. Instead, you focus on being genuine, on acting according to your values, on doing good work. Some people will like you, some won't, and that's completely outside your control. Can you control whether you succeed at a difficult project? Not entirely. The outcome depends on many factors beyond your influence. But you can control showing up every day. You can control giving your best effort. You can control learning from failures. You can control asking for help. You can control persisting when things get hard. You control the input. The output takes care of itself. This is what the Stoics meant by focusing on the process rather than the outcome. You can't control whether you win the race, but you can control your training. You can't control whether people buy your product, but you can control making it excellent. You can't control whether your book becomes a bestseller, but you can control writing the best book you're capable of writing. Stop trying to be life's CEO. You're not managing the universe. You're not in charge of how everything turns out. You're more like a surfer riding waves. A surfer doesn't control the ocean. The waves come however they come. The surfer's skill isn't in controlling the waves. It's in reading them and riding them skillfully. Master the ride, not the ocean. This shift in perspective changes everything. When you stop trying to control outcomes and focus on controlling only your actions and reactions, stress decreases dramatically. You're no longer fighting reality. You're no longer exhausted from trying to manipulate the unmanipulatable. You're working with the grain of existence instead of against it. Does this mean you become passive? Absolutely not. You're actually more effective because you're putting your energy where it can make a difference. You're not wasting resources on futile attempts to control the uncontrollable. You're focused, efficient, and powerful within your actual sphere of influence. The control paradox teaches us that real power comes from knowing what you cannot control. Freedom comes from accepting what you cannot change. Peace comes from focusing only on what's yours to focus on. The less you try to control everything, the more control you actually have over the things that matter.
Small steps forward through the night into morning, into light. Getting better day by day, finding my way. Not perfect, just growing wings. Keep going. Getting better day by day. I'm okay.
Your brain's secret night shift, the neuroscience of sleep. Let me tell you something wild about your brain that you probably don't know. While you're sleeping, while you think nothing is happening, your brain is running a full cleaning crew. Like janitors working the night shift in an office building, your brain has an entire waste removal system that operates while you're unconscious. Scientists discovered something called the glymphatic system, and it's fascinating. During deep sleep, cerebrospinal fluid washes through your brain tissue, clearing out metabolic waste and toxins that build up during the day. It's literally like a dishwasher for your thoughts, rinsing away the accumulated debris of consciousness. Here's what makes this even more remarkable. Your brain physically shrinks during sleep to make this cleaning process possible. The cells actually contract, opening up channels and spaces for the fluid to flow through. Your brain changes its physical structure every night to facilitate this cleansing process. It's like the whole organ is breathing, expanding during the day as it works, and contracting at night to purge waste. Think about what this means. Sleep isn't passive downtime. It's not just your body and mind shutting off to recharge batteries. Sleep is active maintenance, a critical process without which your brain literally accumulates toxic waste. This is why after a terrible night's sleep, everything feels harder. Your brain is trying to function while metaphorically sitting in a cluttered, dirty workspace. Tasks that would be simple with a clean, well-rested brain become exhausting with a brain full of metabolic debris. The science here gets even wilder when you dig into it. Your brain is about 60% fat, weighs approximately 3 pounds, and burns roughly 20% of your daily calories just thinking. We're essentially walking supercomputers that require nightly maintenance and constant fuel. Your brain uses more energy than any other organ in your body, despite being only about 2% of your body weight. Neuroscientists have found that this nightly reset affects everything. Memory consolidation happens during sleep. Your brain is literally reorganizing information, moving things from short-term to long-term storage, making connections between disparate pieces of knowledge. Creativity increases after good sleep because your brain has had time to make novel associations. Problem solving improves because the clutter has been cleared away. Emotional regulation stabilizes because the systems that manage emotions have been properly maintained. One night of poor sleep leaves metabolic waste in your brain, and you feel it. You're irritable, unfocused, inefficient. Your reactions are slower. Your thinking is cloudier. Everything takes more effort because you're operating with a system that's literally clogged. It's like trying to work on a computer that hasn't been properly maintained. Everything lags, nothing flows smoothly, and you're constantly fighting the system just to get basic tasks done. But here's what's really concerning. Chronic sleep deprivation means chronic accumulation of this metabolic waste. Scientists are finding connections between poor sleep and neurodegenerative diseases. When your brain doesn't get adequate time to clean itself night after night, the long-term consequences pile up. The research is still evolving, but it's increasingly clear that sleep isn't optional maintenance. It's absolutely critical for long-term brain health. This is why all the productivity hacks in the world can't compensate for poor sleep. You can have the perfect morning routine, the ideal diet, the most sophisticated time management system, but if you're sleep deprived, you're operating with a handicap. You're trying to run high-performance software on hardware that's full of junk files and corrupted data. The implications are profound when you really think about them. We live in a culture that glorifies sleep deprivation, that treats staying up late as a sign of dedication, that acts like sleep is for the weak. work, we have people bragging about functioning on 4 hours of sleep as if it's a badge of honor, but what they're really bragging about is operating with a brain full of waste products, making decisions with compromised cognitive function, and slowly accumulating damage that might have serious long-term consequences. Your brain has a night shift crew you never knew about, working tirelessly to maintain the system that makes everything else in your life possible. Respect that process. Protect your sleep. Understand that when you're sleeping, you're not being lazy or unproductive. You're running essential maintenance on the most complex machine in the known universe. The happiness trap. Why you can't catch what you're chasing. Here's one of life's cruelest jokes. Happiness is the only goal that runs away when you chase it. It's like a cat. Ignore it, and it jumps in your lap. Chase it, and it darts under the furniture where you can't reach it. We've all been caught in this trap. We think happiness is a destination, a thing to be achieved through the right combination of circumstances. Once I get that job, then I'll be happy. Once I meet the right person, then I'll be happy. Once I lose weight, make money, move to a better city, buy the house, achieve the goal, then finally I'll be happy. We're constantly postponing happiness, treating it as the prize that awaits us at the end of some journey we're on. But neuroscience has discovered something fascinating and slightly depressing about how happiness actually works in our brains. You have what's called a happiness set point, a baseline level of contentment that your brain tends to return to, regardless of external circumstances. This has been proven through studies of lottery winners and accident victims. The same principle applies to both extremes. Win the lottery, receive millions of dollars, and you'll experience an initial spike of happiness. But research shows that within about 6 months, you'll be back to your baseline level of happiness. The money is still there. The circumstances have objectively improved, but your subjective experience has adapted. You've gotten used to the new normal, and it no longer provides the happiness boost it initially did. The same adaptation happens with negative events. Suffer a terrible accident that leaves you disabled, and yes, initially your happiness plummets. But studies show that within about 6 months, most people return to roughly the same baseline happiness level they had before the accident. The circumstances are objectively worse, but humans are remarkably adaptive creatures. We adjust to new realities, both positive and negative. This is called the hedonic treadmill, and it's one of the most important concepts to understand about happiness. No matter how fast you run, no matter what you achieve or acquire, you tend to end up in the same place emotionally. The treadmill keeps moving and you keep running, but you're not actually getting anywhere in terms of lasting happiness. This sounds depressing, but it actually contains a liberating truth. Happiness isn't a destination. It's not something you achieve through perfect circumstances. It's a byproduct of how you live, what you focus on, and what you value. Happiness comes from progress, not achievement. It's the feeling of getting better at something, of developing competence, of moving toward a goal, not the moment of reaching the goal itself. This is why people often feel empty after achieving something they've worked toward for years. The achievement itself doesn't provide lasting happiness. The process of striving provided happiness all along, but we were too focused on the future achievement to notice. Happiness comes from connection, not possessions. Deep relationships, moments of genuine connection with others, feeling seen and understood and valued. These provide far more lasting happiness than material acquisitions. You can't buy your way to happiness, but you can build your way there through relationships. Happiness comes from giving, not getting. Counterintuitively, people report more happiness from spending money on others than on themselves. helping others, contributing to something larger than yourself, making a positive impact. These generate real, lasting satisfaction in a way that self-focused pursuits often don't. We're looking for happiness in all the wrong places. We're chasing outcomes when we should be enjoying processes. We're accumulating things when we should be cultivating connections. We're focused on getting when we should be focused on giving. The solution isn't to chase happiness directly, it's to stop chasing it at all. Focus instead on meaning, growth, and contribution. Do work that matters to you. Build relationships with people you care about. Contribute to causes larger than yourself. Develop skills and competencies. Be present in moments rather than constantly looking ahead to some imagined future state. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop chasing happiness and start living meaningfully, happiness shows up uninvited. It arrives as a byproduct of a life well lived, not as the achievement of a goal pursued. It's like the cat that finally jumps in your lap the moment you stop trying to grab it. The biggest paradox of all, the less you need happiness, the more it appears. The less desperately you chase it, the more often it finds you. The moment you stop treating it as the primary goal and start treating it as a pleasant side effect of other pursuits, it becomes more present in your life. This doesn't mean you shouldn't care about being happy. It means you should care about being happy in a different way, by caring about the things that produce happiness as a byproduct, rather than by pursuing happiness itself. Focus on doing meaningful work, being present with loved ones, growing as a person, contributing to the world. Happiness will take care of itself.
I don't wanna lose you. Can't imagine life without everything you put me through. That's what love is all about. I don't wanna lose you.
Your biased brain, the filters you don't know you're wearing. Your brain isn't a truth-seeking machine. Let that sink in for a moment. We like to think we're rational creatures, objectively perceiving reality and making logical decisions based on facts. But that's not how your brain actually works. Your brain is a pattern-matching machine with delusions of objectivity, running on heuristics and biases that served our ancestors well, but often lead us astray in the modern world. Right now, as you're reading this, your brain is running dozens of cognitive biases. You're not aware of them. You think you're perceiving reality as it is, but actually you're seeing a heavily edited version of reality, filtered through numerous biases that shape what you notice, what you remember, and what you believe. Confirmation bias makes you cherry-pick evidence that supports your existing beliefs while ignoring or dismissing evidence that contradicts them. If you believe something is true, you'll notice every piece of information that confirms it and somehow miss the information that challenges it. Your brain is constantly looking for proof that you're right, not for truth. The halo effect makes you think attractive people are smarter, more competent, and more trustworthy. Physical appearance bleeds over into your judgments about completely unrelated qualities. Conversely, if someone is unattractive or unlikable, you'll unconsciously assume they're less competent at their job. Your brain is making these judgments automatically, without your conscious awareness. Loss aversion makes you fear losing $100 more than you enjoy gaining $100. The pain of loss is psychologically more powerful than the pleasure of equivalent gain. This is why people hold on to losing investments too long, why they stay in bad relationships, why they resist change even when change would benefit them. The brain is wired to avoid loss more than to pursue gain. You're basically walking around with Instagram filters on reality, but you don't know the filters are there. You think you're seeing the world as it is. You think your judgments are based on objective assessment, but actually your perception is being constantly shaped by biases you didn't choose and often don't know about. Here's an uncomfortable truth that's hard to accept. You judge others by their actions, but yourself by your intentions. When someone cuts you off in traffic, they're an inconsiderate jerk. When you cut someone off, you had a good reason, you were distracted or running late or didn't see them. You give yourself the benefit of the doubt that you rarely extend to others. You remember your successes and conveniently forget your failures. Ask someone to list their biggest achievements and their biggest mistakes, and the achievements list will be longer and more detailed. We have selective memory that protects our ego by emphasizing our wins and downplaying our losses. You think you're above average at almost everything. This is called illusory superiority, and it's incredibly common. Most people believe they're better than average drivers, better than average at their jobs, better than average at relationships. Statistically, this is impossible. Not everyone can be above average, but the bias persists because it feels true. The worst part about cognitive biases is that you can't turn them off. They're hardwired survival mechanisms. Your ancestors who made quick pattern-based judgments survived better than those who carefully analyzed every situation from scratch. These mental shortcuts kept humans alive. But in our complex modern world, they often lead us astray. But here's where awareness becomes your superpower. You can't eliminate your biases, but you can recognize them. You can catch yourself in the act of biased thinking. You can pause and ask, which bias is talking right now? Am I seeing this situation clearly, or am I seeing it through the filter of confirmation bias, halo effect, loss aversion, or any of the dozens of other biases that shape perception? Next time you're absolutely certain about something, pause. Notice how certainty feels. Then ask yourself, what evidence would change my mind? If the answer is nothing, you're probably in the grip of confirmation bias. Ask yourself, what would someone who disagrees with me say? Can I accurately explain their perspective? If you can't, you probably don't understand the situation as well as you think. When you make a judgment about someone, ask yourself, am I judging their actions or their character? Am I giving them the same benefit of the doubt I give myself? Am I letting irrelevant factors like attractiveness or likability color my assessment of their competence? When you're afraid to try something new or change course, ask yourself, is this loss aversion talking? Am I overweighting the potential loss and underweighting the potential gain? Am I holding on to something because it's familiar rather than because it's actually good? Your brain is constantly editing reality to match your beliefs, to protect your ego, to avoid loss, to make quick decisions. At least now you know the filters exist. At least now you can sometimes catch yourself looking through them. That awareness won't make you objective, nothing will, but it will make you less confidently wrong, which is a huge improvement. The goal isn't to become some perfectly rational being free from bias. The goal is to know yourself well enough to question your certainties, to check your assumptions, to realize that what feels obviously true might just be your biased brain doing what biased brains do. Here we are, the synthesis of everything. Life isn't about finding yourself. That's passive, as if who you are is hidden somewhere waiting to be discovered. Life is about creating yourself. You're not uncovering some predetermined destiny written in the stars. You're building it actively, deliberately, choice by choice, habit by habit, day by day. Every concept we've explored connects to every other concept. They're not separate insights. They're facets of one unified understanding of how life works. The paradoxes teach you balance. Try too hard and fail, control everything and lose control, chase happiness and it runs away. These aren't contradictions to be solved. They're tensions to be navigated. Life isn't about finding the right answer. It's about finding the right balance between opposing truths. Your biased brain teaches you humility. You're not seeing reality as it is. You're seeing a heavily filtered, edited version shaped by unconscious biases. This should make you less certain, less rigid, more willing to question your assumptions. Confidence is often just ignorance you're unaware of. The compound effect gives you power. You can't control outcomes, but you can control inputs. You can't guarantee success, but you can guarantee consistent effort. Small actions compound into destiny. 1% improvements stack into transformation. You have more power than you think, but it operates through time and consistency rather than through dramatic action. The ultimate cheat code for life has 3 parts, 3 principles that, if internalized and applied, will transform everything. First, accept what you cannot control, and that's almost everything. Other people's choices, your boss's mood, the economy, the weather, whether your project succeeds, whether people like you, whether you get sick, what happened in your past, what might happen in your future. None of this is within your control. Stop wasting energy trying to control the uncontrollable. Stop exhausting yourself fighting battles you cannot win. Accept what is. Work with reality instead of demanding that reality conform to your preferences. Second, master what you can control, and that's actually quite a lot when you focus on it. Your actions and your reactions, your effort and your attitude, your choices and your responses, how you treat people, whether you keep your commitments, how you spend your time, what you practice, what you focus on, whether you learn from failures, whether you show up consistently. You can't control outcomes, but you can control the behaviors that make positive outcomes more likely. Third, compound tiny improvements daily. Don't try to transform overnight. Don't chase dramatic change. Don't set goals so ambitious that you're guaranteed to quit. Just be 1% better today than yesterday. Read 1 page, do 1 push-up, save $1, have 1 honest conversation, make 1 good decision. The improvements are tiny, almost meaningless in isolation, but they compound. Give them time and consistency, and they create transformation that feels impossible based on the size of the daily actions. That's it. 3 principles. Everything else is commentary, application, or explanation of these core truths. You now understand how your brain works, its biases, its autopilot systems, its need for sleep, its emotional drivers. You understand why happiness hides when you chase it. You understand how habits form and how to reshape them. You understand that memory is fiction and that your story is already being edited, whether you do it consciously or not. You understand the 80-20 principle and why most of what you do doesn't matter. You understand the compound effect and why tiny choices create massive destinies. You have the manual, not a complete manual. Life is too vast, too complex, too surprising to be fully captured in any manual. But you have a working manual, a set of principles that, if applied, will serve you well across most situations you'll encounter. Now comes the hard part, actually doing it. Understanding changes nothing by itself. You can know every principle in this essay and still live exactly as you did before. Knowledge without application is just entertainment, just interesting ideas you once read. The difference between knowing and doing is where transformation lives. It's not enough to understand that small actions compound. You have to actually take small actions daily. It's not enough to know you're biased. You have to actually pause and question your certainties. It's not enough to understand habit loops. You have to actually redesign your loops. Start small. Emphasis on small. Don't try to apply everything at once. Don't create a massive transformation plan. Don't set yourself up for failure through overambition. Pick one principle. Maybe it's the compound effect. Decide on one tiny daily improvement. Commit to it for 30 days. Just one. 1 page read, or 10 minutes of movement, or one healthy meal, or $5 saved. Something so small you can't fail. Do that for 30 days until it becomes automatic, until it's a habit that runs without conscious effort. Then add another tiny improvement, then another. Let them stack. Let them compound. In a year, you'll have a dozen new positive habits running automatically, requiring no willpower, no motivation, just autopilot working in your favor. Or maybe start with acceptance. What are you trying to control that you cannot control? What are you exhausting yourself fighting against? Where are you demanding that reality be different than it is? Identify one area where you're wasting energy on the uncontrollable. Let it go. Accept it. Redirect that energy toward what you can control instead. Or maybe start with the 80-20 principle. What's your vital 20%? In your work, what few activities create most of your results? In your relationships, which few people bring most of your joy? In your habits, which few really matter? Identify your vital 20% and double down, cut the rest. Be ruthless about eliminating or minimizing the 80% that doesn't matter so you can focus on the 20% that does. The point is, apply something. Take one principle and actually live it, not just understand it. Choose the one that resonates most. The one that feels most relevant to where you are right now, then actually do it. Life is simple. We make it complicated through our desperate need for complexity. But the path forward is clear. Accept what you can't control. Master what you can. Compound tiny improvements daily. Do this consistently, and time handles the rest. You're not discovering destiny, you're building it. You're not finding yourself, you're creating yourself. Choice by choice, habit by habit, day by day, small actions stacking into transformation, 1% improvements compounding into destiny. You have the manual. Now go build your life.
Les miroirs ne mentent jamais. Ils me montrent mes saisons. Les années filent en secret et changent mes horizons.